Last year, I lost a coaching client to suicide. It's something that a lot of therapists don't experience in their entire careers, something that most coaches encounter very, very rarely. But I chose to work with a demographic where it's actually pretty common. I coach divorced men, and divorced men are 9 times more likely to kill themselves than the general population. 9 times. And it's actually not that surprising when you think about it, because somewhere around 70% of divorces are initiated by women, and an equal about 70% of men are totally blindsided by the divorce, did not see it coming. Right? So they're going through an unwanted loss of the primary relationship in their lives. And on top of that, men are conditioned widespread throughout our society to suppress what they feel and to not talk about it, not show that weakness, not put that burden on other people. So here we have this group of people who have spent their whole lives suppressing, shutting down, keeping the lid on what they feel. And now they're going through something incredibly traumatic in a situation where they feel totally powerless. And that emotion now, it's too much. They can't suppress it, but they don't have any experience. They don't have good skills or resources to deal with those feelings. So they have this incredible pain, no tools to handle it, and they are very unlikely to reach out and ask for help or even tell somebody how bad it is, how much pain they're experiencing. Really not surprising that the suicide rate for divorced men is so high. I have only been coaching divorced men for about 2.5 years. And for the last 18 months, I've run a group coaching program for them, and it's been incredible. I have seen amazing results for these guys going through and doing this work. But I regret not talking more about suicide. I regret not talking about it more with my clients, not talking about it more in my coaching programs, not talking about it more here on my YouTube channel. The client that I lost was a new client. I had only spoken to him once. I didn't know him very well. But looking back, I regret not talking to him about suicide, even on that very first call. It might have made a difference for him. I don't know. What I do know is that suicide and suicidal thoughts, and even something called suicidal cravings, are a constant companion in the work I do with my clients. Occasionally it comes up explicitly. When it does, I respond, I help them find the right resources, make the right connections, get the right kind of help. And I do everything I can to support them in that. But when it doesn't come up explicitly, it's just there. I know it's there. At least 50% of the men that I've spoken to, and it's a lot. In addition to the clients I've worked with, I've done probably 500 phone interviews with divorced men over the last couple of years. At least half of them have admitted to me thinking about suicide at one point or another. How many others didn't admit it, didn't talk about it? So it's there. It's with them. It's with so many of them, and we have to start talking about it. That's what I'm doing right now this month. I am educating myself. For me, it has come up more and more recently in more explicit ways. And I've decided that this is the tipping point for me. I'm not going to ignore it or hide it or hope it goes away anymore. I'm going to talk about it and face it and confront it. I think there is a stigma, kind of this old belief that if we talk about suicide, we make it real and we could actually encourage somebody to do it. That is not what the research shows. I've been doing a lot of research lately because I want to support my clients better. And what I have come to understand is that the more you talk about suicide with somebody, even explicitly, even what is their plan? How are they going to do it? What do they have access to help them do it? The more you talk about it in even more detail, the less likely they are to follow through. There's been a ton of research on this, and that's what it shows. Talking about it helps. And of course it does. Think about this. If somebody is ready to kill themselves, that means that they are in intolerable pain. Right? They think that that's the only way to make it stop. Can you even imagine how intense that pain must be? And so when you talk to them about it, when you sit there and you actually listen and you ask them questions and you engage in it, you're seeing them. You're looking at them and you're saying, holy shit, I see how painful this is. I see how brutal what you're feeling is, how intense it is that this seems like the only option. For that person, it might be that no one has ever seen their pain in that way before, that no one has ever tried to understand or believe how awful, how intense it is. Of course, it helps to talk to them about it. You're there, you're listening, and you're finally seeing and connecting and understanding that feeling. The crazy thing is that we have so many tools to help people who are suicidal, because suicide is not the problem. Suicide is a solution. Somebody who is suicidal hurts, and that pain is so intense that they don't see any way of stopping it except to die. Right? That means that they don't think there's another way to stop the pain. They don't know another way to stop the pain. But we have so many tools for them. The last 30, 40 years, there has been so much research onto this, into really two different areas. One is on the somatic processing of emotions, working with somebody mindfully, with their body, with their physiology, to process pain. Because this kind of emotional pain, it's not a psychological problem. It is a nervous system problem. They've gone through something really intense to the point where their nervous system is shut down into a freeze state. Okay, that's a trauma response. And we now know that there are ways we can work with the nervous system to help it rebalance, to make those feelings that seem intolerable manageable, to give that person the resilience, the window of tolerance to handle everything that they're feeling. That is a physical process, a physiologic issue that we have tools, more and more and more tools every day to tap into that nervous system and help it rebalance. There's breathing exercises, there's meditations, there's heart-focused work. There is a ton of research behind all of it. Mindfulness practices, focusing and internal family systems work. We have so many tools to start to get into the nervous system and make what feels intolerable manageable. So we have that whole area we can work on. And the other area that we have over 40 years of research into is the powerful healing impacts of human relationships. We have the Gottmans to thank for that, people like Dr. Susan Johnson of Emotionally Focused Therapy, who have done decades of research showing that when we are connected to other people, when we feel cared for, when we're in contact with somebody that we trust, we physically feel better, we mentally and emotionally feel better. We feel stronger, we feel more resilient, we feel more whole. Pain becomes less, challenges seem smaller, mountains are easier to climb. So much research into the power of just being with somebody who cares about you and who you feel you can trust, which means that we have a massive toolkit for helping somebody who's experiencing intolerable pain or the trauma of losing a primary relationship. Right? We know that we can help that person work physically with their nervous system to rebalance and make things manageable, and we can help support them in establishing those necessary relationships and connecting to the kind of support systems that will also help them rebalance, lessen the pain, and handle what they're going through in a really healthy way. There are options. There are so many tools for support, and yet so many people don't know that, and they're dying. They're committing suicide because they don't know that there are physical ways to help your nervous system. They don't know the power of connection and relational support. They don't know that there's other alternatives. If they did, if they had a better alternative, they wouldn't be suicidal. So we have to do better. When I say we, I mean I have to do better. As a coach and as a content creator here on YouTube, I have to talk about this and get this information out there to you, to my clients, and to my coaching programs. That's what I'm really committing to. For the rest of this year, I'm going to a seminar this month to educate myself more on what works and what doesn't, and what is the most helpful way to support somebody in crisis, and also to help people realize ahead of time, before it gets to a crisis point, that this is where it's going so that we can redirect it sooner. I'm going to start building those tools and that work into my coaching programs, helping my clients understand, have the education, the resources, the support systems in place that they need when these thoughts come up. But we also have to do better as a society. We have to talk about this, you guys. We have tools. We can help, but we're not having the conversation. We're scared of it. And it is scary. Trust me. I have had a lot of conversations about this. Like I said, I regret not having more and not having some of them sooner. But I have talked to many people in the moment of feeling suicidal, and it is fucking hard. Right? Because it is pretty heavy to see somebody in that kind of pain and to realize that that kind of pain exists. But we have got to acknowledge it because there are so many people feeling it. And we are all at risk, right? All of us. We don't know what life is going to bring. We don't know who we're going to lose or what might happen. We all need support. We all need the right tools to help our nervous system stay strong and resilient. We all need the power of that connection and supportive relationships in our lives. So we have got to talk about this. So please share this video. You never know who in your life might need it. In fact, the person who needs it the most is probably the one that you don't know about because they're not talking about it yet. Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for having this conversation with me. Please do share this video. Let's get this conversation going. Let's have it more often. I am going to be better. I'm going to talk about it more. I am going to find better solutions, better pathways, better systems to put into place for my clients. And I'm going to share those tools with you here on this channel as I learn them so you can implement them for yourself and for the people in your life that you love as well. But let's just keep this conversation going and let's not stop talking about it, because talking about it can make literally the difference between life and death for somebody that we care about. All right, share the video. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys on the next one.